everybody. May Anastasia here, and welcome back to the podcast. I took a little bit of a break to focus on editing and stuff like that, and recording for the podcast. And of course, we're actually on, as of this episode, a new channel. We are officially on our own YouTube channel for Otaku Nightly Hour. How do you feel about that?
Independent, finally.
We're independent.
We're maybe not financially, but we are independent.
And it's the reason why is just to put it in short terms, it's more convenient for you guys to see that we are separate now, and you could just easily look up our episodes and look up our channel instead of having to scroll through a mix mash of my channel and such like that.
Your channel's content, and then Otaku Nightly Hour, and then more of your content, and then more Otaku Nightly Hour.
Yeah, so it's easier this way so that you could just stay tuned for Otaku Nightly Hours. All right, and for the first episode, officially recording for our new channel, we're ironically gonna get a little bit heated, because at this current moment there has been some current upcoming anime and manga about that touch on the genre of harem anime.
Some good, some really good. I want to give praises to, but that's gonna be way later.
Yeah.
Right now, we're gonna be talking about what specifically?
What we don't like about harem anime and games and such like that. And I understand we're gonna mix both harems where it's a male lead and female love interest, and the reverse harem, which is the opposite of it, where it's a female lead and male love interest.
Or male leads and male interests, and female leads and female interests. Unfortunately, they won't be talked about here, but I mean, it's not like they don't exist, right?
Yeah, they do exist and such. Personally, I am very well knowledge on the reverse harems, and I assume you're very well knowledge on the harem.
Yeah, I took a crash course for like about 20 minutes. I'm a professional at this.
And obviously, because they do appeal to their target audience, which is female, male audience respectively, and such like that, we're gonna be switching between them quite frequently. So one, this is mainly me and such like that. I am a person who likes a complete story, in a sense. And
very bold statement you got there.
I like where the story kind of tries to wrap itself into a nice bow, especially especially when they try to complete the plot lines of like certain characters and stuff like that. However, this is not common in harem and reverse harem animes, because it's supposed to leave it open for the audience member who's standing in for the main character,
if they're skilled enough
and such like that, to figure out like, who do you prefer out of the love interest here. And so the first point that I put there here was that we're always left on the edge of the love interest is kind of wanting to reveal their feelings but never doing so, because the plot kind of doesn't allow them to do so,
right,
and such like that, either because there's more pressing matters to deal with, or because of how the intention of the show is, which is, again, audience stand-in. You can't really push forward on that because we need to continue the plot line from episode to episode.
Yeah.
And the one that stood out to me with this point specifically was Uta No Prince Sama, which short list. This is a school that creates idols and idol groups, and the main character is a female songwriter who makes the boy band Idolish. And it is
understood none of that.
Idolish is all the characters, like, first letter of their names becoming the title of the group, and they all fall in love with the songwriter. But big rule in the school: no falling in love.
How
specific.
Very interesting.
Yeah. And okay, I understand, obviously the school already had set rules, but here's the thing: Uta No Prince Sama has like 5 seasons, and they already graduated at the end of season 1.
So what do they do for the rest of the season?
Uh, I think second season they expand and do a training program specifically for that group in particular. Like the first season is getting the group together and meeting each character individually as students. The second one is getting the group together. The third one is trying to compete against a rival company who also has a boy band who are also trying to fight for their rights to hiring the main character as their songwriter and such like that. And I have absolutely no idea what 4 or 5 does.
Okay. Well, some incomplete information there, but I guess that's fine.
Yeah, and such like that.
We'll roll with
And
it.
oh yeah, and then there's some random like in season 2 to 3, there's a character who's from like a country that worship the god of music and such like that, and joins Idolish because he is quote unquote the fated lover of the main character question mark, who's also a cat.
Also a cat.
He transforms into a cat at some point.
I'm gonna need a little bit more context here.
None.
Okay. That's fine. I guess I don't need any context. We're going in blind.
But okay, so the part that bothers me is that like all these characters, they have every chance because like an episode is dedicated to like here's love interest, Inosuke, no, there's Ren, who gets an episode to hang out with the main character and such like that, and then we got Ritsu, and there's an episode dedicated to them hanging out and such like that. And each plotline develops in a way where like they could easily say something along the lines of like, I like you, I have feelings for you, how about we go on a date or something like that and such like that, and nothing.
At least they tried, right?
No.
What do you mean, no?
It kind of just goes along of the lines of like, it's like, you're a great friend, I really respect you and stuff from the main character's point of view, and I'm just sitting there like, it's not,
Yeah.
I understand the purpose of it. It's to promote the games and such because there is PSP games for this.
I feel like that's some very important context you should have started up with.
Because yeah, this is a game that's based off of this is a anime based off of a game. To be fair,
This
most
is
of
a
the
game
anime
based off of the anime.
there's quite a bit of the choices that I picked that are technically anime based off of PSP dating sim games and such, which I'm fully aware that that's the marketing ploy of it and everything. The anime's there to be more of a marketing
PSP is
ploy.
kind of old.
PSP is still like regularly played in in Japan and such like that, but now it's
They
moved
didn't move
over
on to the Vita?
we moved on now to the Switch
Ah.
because the Switch also has it now. But yes, so I am fully aware it's so that you could buy the game and then move on with the plotline. It's like an appetizer to see the characters and stuff like that. But like
So let me get straight. Its entire existence is to just be an advertisement for the game.
yeah, like, oh, I want to see more about this plotline and stuff like that. I should buy the game and play through his character plotline
Okay.
and stuff like that.
That's was so given how it's here on the topic of what I don't like about harem animes and games, would you say overall the story is pretty good, or there's too many problems with it? You're not a huge fan of it.
There's a lot of open plot holes where they could easily get overlooked and stuff like that kind of thing. Like, for example, in the second season where they're established as idols, they have to work part-time before they become an idol group and such like that. Like, get their
That's weird.
individual, like, become their individual goals. And one of them wants to be a stunt actor and such. And I'm like, okay, cool, that's really nice and such like that. But then they never touch on it again after he got like the one role and such like that. And I'm just sitting here like, wait. He wants to be like a professional stunt actor. He did the one role and now he's part of Idolish. So what happens now? His dream just like he did the one and that's it?
Like, is he no longer gonna try to become a?
A stunt actor or something like that?
Yeah,
Or
like-
is he or is it like one of the things that we have to hear in passing, like, yeah, he's going to a shoot where he's playing like the body double of another actor or something like that, or oh yeah, he's playing like one of the henchmen that does like a really cool the really cool like stunt move in this shot of this superhero movie and stuff. No, we got none of that.
What if one of them was just really bold and was like, I want to start a family when I'm older, and like, okay, awesome. What about now? Like, oh well, ow, I don't even have a girlfriend. I was like, okay, so how are you gonna accomplish that goal before you get into this whole like group?
I don't know. We got nothing. Everything just moves on, and I'm just like, I am
Everyone
kind
had
of.
very convenient wishes, and the plot progressed smoothly regardless.
And I'm just like, well, uh, moving on.
Next show, I guess.
I guess. Anyway, so but yeah, and there's like a bunch of other anime that do this and stuff like that. I understand that for this anime or on High School Host Club, which a lot of people who watched similar anime to me just felt like a rush of nostalgia hitting in. By the way, I'm very excited to hear there is rumors of a season 2. I'm very excited for it. If not, I'm fine without it, honestly. But I mean, like, so Ouran, I totally understand that the love interest plotline is not the main plotline of the show, and such like that. But after
But
reading the manga and seeing the potential plotlines of the love interest between main character Haruhi, Hikaru, and Tamaki that could have occurred, they kind of just left it in the air of whether Haruhi actually had feelings for any of them and such like that. And it's like, oh my goodness.
they leave
uh,
it vague, very ambiguous.
it was super ambiguous, honestly. And while I do understand that it's not the main plot point of it, it left it left an aftermath during the war of Haruhi x Hikaru and Haruhi x Tamaki being which is canon because the manga hadn't been published for the rest of it by the time the anime was finished getting dubbed over
Interesting.
and such.
So, what exactly is even the plot? Because the title alone tells me like
Very little.
it. I mean,
So okay, okay,
in
okay.
the
Let
high
me.
school Oran, there is a club where people play host.
So okay. So this is a very prim upscale school where the rich get educated, but the one commoner student, Haruhi, gets in on a scholarship because she got really good grades and such like that.
That's how
Um
scholarships work. Yes.
yes. So she one day accidentally entered the host club and in a means of in like the all the confusion and such, she accidentally breaks a vase that costs almost way more than the like 5 years worth of rent of her apartment.
Wait. Back up a second. This is a very big thing I need answered right now. Is it Voss or Vase?
I say vase, but
You just said Voss.
I say vase or vase interchangeably.
I I don't care how you say it. To me, it is a vase.
But
What's
anyway,
a
so
Voss? You're
so
not
so
foreign.
so
You're not fancy. Get out of here with those words.
anyway, so the vase gets broken and such. The host at first, because of how Haruhi presents herself in like pants,
And
a cardigan, dress shirt, and very short hair and big glasses, they assume that she's a boy, even though the name is Haruhi. But I assume Haruhi is probably a
I don't know.
gender neutral name in Japan or something
You
like that.
got Wakana Gojo. If you didn't hear the word Gojo and just heard the name Wakana, you're like, oh, that's a pretty interesting girl's name. No, it's a dude. So, I mean, names are a bit flexible. You got some dudes named Sakura. You got some girls named Sakura. Even though
I
it's like a very
suppose.
flowery name, so
I
it's
suppose and such like that. But I know
we
there's a
don't
difference
discriminate
between
here.
I know but anyway, so Haruhi gets mistaken for a boy. They have Haruhi work off the debt by being the servant for the host club slash um a host. And by the end of the first episode, all of them put together and realized that Haruhi's actually a girl, and
How
now
did
they
they
have to keep the secret.
how did they put it together? Was
It's
it like the
different.
last two brain cells finally clicking, or were there like a lot of like high intelligence like thinking actually go around?
For Tamaki, it was the last two brain cells. He was the last one to figure it out.
Dang. All right.
Like
Way to
he
like diss on
figured.
my poor
Well,
boy
no,
here.
he figured it out because he plainly saw that Haruhi was a girl who turns out was wearing like a bra
Okay.
and
Well,
stuff like that and everything towards the end of the episode. But everyone else like sort of put two and two together and figure out, oh, wait a minute. Haruhi's not a boy and such like that. And everything. I think Kyoya was one of the first ones to figure it out and such like that. But I think mainly just based on how Haruhi acted, playing upfrontly, and he put two and two together. Um, Momiji, not Momiji. I'm getting him confused with Fruits Basket character Momiji. Honey
I
Senpai.
was about to ask, like, wait, is this any like the plot you were describing? I totally thought was the Fruit Basket's plot line.
No, no, but it's from the same kind of era of anime and
Right.
stuff like that. Honey Senpai figured it out because usually guys don't say that his like little plush bunny is cute except for girls, and how did he responded with that it's pretty cute, so he kind of had an assumption that she was a girl. And
What
then
a
and then
what an interesting assumption.
And then Mori, well, Mori kind of got like a like a cheat answer because Haruhi was getting spun around by Tamaki. She requested his help. He lifted her up, from like underneath her arms, and then it's implied, if you want to look at it like the very like innocent way, she thought he probably thought she was way too light for a dude, and put two and two together, or he got a feel.
I mean, it could go either way.
Hmm.
I don't know. Some dudes are pretty lightweight. I'm pretty sure if you were to like pick them up,
That's called a
that doesn't
twink.
really. No, just you have never met the common Mexican guy. If that is the case.
Okay, okay, and then Hikaru Kairu, the twins, they put two and two together after how Haruhi behaved as well. Tamaki just straight up just at the end was just had the answer revealed to him.
Okay, well,
So, but
uh,
then like throughout the anime and such like that, you get hijinks ensue of like the host club shenanigans and stuff like that, getting plot lines of the characters in their backgrounds, how they grew up and everything. But there's a side plot line where Hikaru might actually have feelings for Haruhi, kind of thing, and that also Tamaki might have feelings for Haruhi, or Haruhi basically confessed her feelings to him at the last episode of the season and such like that. But they kind of don't really go anything beyond that because the manga hadn't caught up to then and such like that. By the way, spoiler alert, everything in here is a spoiler alert. Haruhi gets together with Tamaki.
I have no idea how to respond to that. But hold on a second. What I will be asking is, you've been like complimenting this series so far.
Yes, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. I've
Yeah,
been
I was gonna say, what are you
complimenting.
gonna get to the thing?
Well, here's the thing. I've been complimenting that it's good, aside from the
But
fact that I'm not touching on the harem portion of the anime.
uh-huh.
Like plotline wise, if we just look at it as a romance comedy, it's great. It's fantastic. It does its job. But if we want to focus it on a harem where Haruhi is a love interest and has multiple dating options, it does not do that at all. Because the two options that we do have that technically get revealed does not have a final conclusion in which we know if Haruhi got together with who, because of the manga not being caught up at the time, so the anime
The
just kind of
animators are
got
just
cut
too
off.
good.
Yeah, and the anime just got cut off and such like that. And that's why I had to say, like, spoiler alert, how he gets together with Tamaki. and stuff.
You know, back in ye olden days, when animes would come out in 12 or 24 episodes, not like, we're releasing the next season in part 1 and then part 2, but then we're also gonna do part 2 chapter 1, part 2 chapter
Or
2.
like we're in animes where we have like 12 to 24 episodes. By the way, season 2 confirmed on episode 2.
I mean, I'd be hyped if that ever happened. But no, I was talking about Attack on Titan, how they keep going on with like the last season part. Season 2, part 2. What are we gonna go like next? Chapter 2, verse 2, paragraph 5. Like,
Okay.
how much
Okay.
further? Did you know that they announced like this like final chapter called The Last Attack that's gonna be coming out next year? I think that's basically a movie that sums up like the final few episodes that already came out and released. But as a film, I'm like, why?
Porque
Are unless you're gonna change it like drastically from what we ended up getting in the anime, because I didn't read I only read the manga. I did not read the anime, but I was suffice to say I was very disappointed with the manga, and I don't think the anime strayed too far from that. So I'm hoping the movie at least changes it up and be like, no, actually, the main character won at the end, and that's the end. So I'm hoping they at least give us like a completely radical what if scenario, huh? That'd be great.
all
Anyways,
right.
moving back over to the main topic at hand.
Don't you have some examples as well? I've been talking for a bit.
No. Moving on. Anyways. um something I do want to talk about for sure is like one of the most, I don't want to say popular because that's putting it in a good light. One of the most seen
Talked about.
animes. Well, it was definitely talked about when it like ended, not so
Yeah,
much anymore.
I suppose.
It's used as a comparison nowadays, but Nisekoi. I don't know why in parentheses it's always called false love. I just call it Nisekoi. That's all I've ever called it. It's all I know it
You're
as.
gonna need to explain the plot to me.
No. Anyways, it starts off on this one day with the main character literally run I could have sworn he was heading to school. I can't remember if he was running or just doing his own thing nonchalantly. The dude's part of a how do they put it nicely? The cartels. No, wait.
Yakuza?
The mob. Sure. He well, I mean that's kind of the thing though. I keep forgetting who's like in the Yakuza because of how their organizations work. They're both mob boss families. Him and then this girl he kind of ends up running into literally with the bread in her mouth. Stereotypical like anime girl as it can get. Turns out um they click like face to face. By that I mean they run into each other. She's late for school. She has problems with them. They go on their merry way. They meet up again later at their parents' house just to find out that hey, um, these two mob boss families that they are both part of are gonna be going in through a how do they say, an acquisition merger. That is to say, they're gonna be combining both factions, and they kind of want the two kids to start dating to kind of like help things come along real quickly. Um, they're not into that, but I mean, especially because it kind of comes as a convenience for the main character because the main plot for him, the biggest problem here is that he kind of already has someone in mind that he is absolutely 100% in love with for sure. That's never going to change in his heart because he has a locket that he remembers specifically giving the key to someone or receiving that locket from someone. And so he knows that once he meets that love of his life, it will be unlocked, and inside will be the photo of that person that he is in love with. Problem is that he doesn't remember really who it is, but he has a pretty strong feeling it's gonna be this one person. Um, and he's been kind of crushing on her this whole time. So when he's being told all of a sudden, out of nowhere, hey kiddo, you're gonna be hooking up, getting hitched with this other gorilla over here. He's like, no way, Jose, that is not my cup of tea. I don't like that. Violence almost escalates between two factions, so he's like, okay. We'll start dating. Just don't fight anymore. And so they pretend to start dating. And then, they introduce The main heroine, the side heroines, the main girls of the series, one by one. And the thing I really liked about it is how they have like a unique cast of characters. You got for sure the main girl, the tsundere. You got like the side girl who's best girl. She's the cheerful, bubbly kind that we went over. Do you remember what that one is? Pop quiz. May, I'm talking to you.
Very bad at names, okay?
We went over the deades.
Uh,
It's one of the deades. It was probably
Tsundere?
the dede. It was probably the dede. I can't remember. It's one of the bubbly ones. And she honestly is the best girl. She is the girl the MC is just pining for throughout the whole series. And then you get introduced to this one other girl whose dad is a cop, mind you, but she is absolutely in love with the main character, despite knowing his family background. What a wild ride that must be. That is a ride or die type of person you want in your life. And then, all I can describe is a handsome prince type of character that they also introduced, and she is basically like the bodyguard to the tsundere. And hilarity ensues, rom-com adventures happen. Anyways, he ends up falling in love with the tsundere despite constantly 100% always showing that he's always been in love with the other main girl. That is just the one pet peeve I have. Was like you have had this like dream of being with her for years and years and years. And spoiler alert, in the series, in the show, she eventually confesses, "Hey, you know what? I kind of do have a crush on you. I kind of have for years now." And he's like, "Oh, dang, I can't believe my feelings have finally been validated after all this time." However, I mean, I've kind of gotten used to the other girl beating me up, so I'm kind of into her now for no reason whatsoever. So, I can't really return your feelings anymore. Had you done this literally like the day prior, I definitely would have gone with you. But now I'm just completely head over here, with the gorilla girl over here. So, see ya. And then, oh no, the huge plot point about the locket, um, being revealed. I'm gonna leave that for the viewers to watch on their own. I'm not the biggest fan of that, but the main plot point of just having someone who's definitely in the lead, uh, by like miles and miles above the rest, just straight up like loses at the very end because of the whim of the main character or the author. And I was just absolutely disheartened reading it. It left a very bad taste in my mouth, and I just kind of moved on to the next harem series. Also, just as bad. Any questions, complaints, concerns, criticisms, critiques,
Utterly confused.
colloquialisms? Got it. Um, yes, it is a. It's a convoluted, contrived plot line. I've been really spitballing the plot as it just kind of comes into my mind, so some things may not have clicked as seamlessly as they should have, but that gives you a rough idea. Man has a past. He doesn't remember the past. He wants to figure out the past. He r- comes to accept those around him and I guess moves beyond his past is the easiest way I can simplify this.
We're really going down to like to like harem for dummies.
I mean, that is actually a trope I absolutely hate, and we will have to talk about tropes like someday.
Oh yeah, no, most definitely. Yeah, there are some tropes that I
Uh,
absolutely despise.
the whole wait a minute, you know me, but I don't remember what happened when I was, X amount of years older, like
Mm.
younger compared to I am now. I'm like, my dude, this literally happened when you were 5 or 6 or 8.
You
How do you
have
not remember this very important thing, this promise you may or may not have made with someone?
anyway, going on, you have another point here listed of like being left on the edge and never being like revealing of their feelings and such. What?
Okay, I didn't actually cover that with Nisekoi, but I will say for sure it was Sugumi. She's always like, like she was a standoffish character, and
Hmm.
she slowly started melting her heart, and she started coming around, and she was kind of like, hey, you know what? I kind of do like you, but I'm never gonna tell you this at all whatsoever because uh unbeknownst to her, she was not aware that the two weren't actually dating for the longest time. She assumed they were dating right from the outset. So she's been kind of slowly falling in love with someone who she assumed was a taken person. So she was like, I can't fall in love with them. I gotta, like, restrain my feelings. I gotta keep it inside me for the longest time. And I'm like, okay, I understand your position. However, I think at one point you may or may not have found out they weren't actually in love with each other. So I don't know why you didn't use that opportunity to kind of like capitalize on the opportunity. Um, but I mean, loyalty is what loyalty does, I guess. But moving on to the next one. Oh boy, you don't love it. You absolutely hate it. You know it. It is Rent-A-Girlfriend. That's right. We're now talking about peak trash of whatever year it came out, 2019, 2018.
What, you don't like Rent a Girlfriend?
Read the title. The guy goes out and rents a girlfriend. How sad is that? How low in your life do you need to be to literally go out of your way? And I guess it's because it's in Japan specifically that this is a thing. But the dude literally gets on an app and says, "Yes, I would like to rent a girlfriend for the day. Thank you very much." And then he goes to his grandma and then he says, "Grandma, this is my girlfriend. I know you are not doing so well in the hospital because you are slowly dying. However, I want you to know that I, your grandson, am in love with my girlfriend. Totally my girlfriend. 100% my girlfriend. No way is she not a rental girlfriend whatsoever." The grandma's like, "Oh, that's cool. Hey, Bessie, come check this out, who's also in the hospital with me." And then her bestie's like, "Wait, is that my granddaughter? Oh, wow. Our grandkids are dating each other. How amazing." And so now he's kind of roped her into this is no longer like a work relationship that he's hiring for. This has now just become personal for her because now she doesn't want her grandma to find out that she's just kind of like compensated dating, which is like a really negative thing. Not actually doing anything physical or intimate. It's just literally, I walk around with you and then you give me money. Um, so she's like, Yeah, grandma, we are totes in love up in his house." And grandma's like, "Okay, as long as you two are in love, I can rest easy and die now whenever that day may come." And they're like, "Oh no, we gotta keep up this lie until she dies or something." And then, and then, arguably the next two best girls like show up soon after. One of them is a blue hair with a headband, absolutely adorable, 100% best girl, confirmed, no doubt about it. And she's just straight up telling the main guy, like, "Hey, I like you. I love you. I want to be with you." And the dude's like, "Okay, yeah, but I kind of want to be with this other girl anyway." She's like, "Okay, so how about until you actually end up dating her, you date me, and I will be your girlfriend." And then he's like, "Can we do that more like as a trial thing for like 2 weeks or something?
Trial.
Because I don't really want to, I don't really want to sign up for anything more like official or whatever." And she's like, "All right, fine, but just let it be known that I, this cutie patootie, am your girlfriend unofficially on trial." And he's like, "Okay, sure, whatever floats your boat." And then the other girl they introduced, she does not talk. She is too shy. She is the really, really quiet and kind person. Keep in mind, all these three girls are rentable girlfriends you can get. So he actually built up a pretty solid friendship with the quiet one. She doesn't speak. She's more along the lines of she was the Komi can't communicate before Komi can't communicate. She just kind of used like her phone, or she used like the little like writing like on a little whiteboard. And it was kind of funny, like how some of her clients would be like, "Oh, okay, yeah, you're just really, really quiet, okay."
Very,
And she
very
really was
shy.
very shy, and she like the reason why she took up this job was kind of like improve herself, actually try to gain the courage to like be
I
more
did
outspoken and
read the
talk.
spin-off series specifically focused on her.
Yes, and it is. I haven't read it, but I can only assume it's amazing. perfect, downright a masterpiece, the author's magnum opus. Please tell me it's the author's magnum opus.
I personally feel like that specific one is better. It enlightened me to that sometimes okay. This is sidetracking from the harem stuff, but the side story is actually really cute because
It should be, yes.
it's more on the sense of like it's to inspire other people to overcome their own challenges by forcing them in a way to go out of their comfort and such. So for her, in her sake, she's too shy. She's unable to do a lot of things on her own as much as she would like to and stuff like that. But she's taking
Yes.
baby steps to go and do the things that she wants. And which is
Yes.
like I remember one chapter she wanted to get a muffin from a cafe, but obviously she's shy. She doesn't want to talk and such like that. So, but she put herself in a position of I want this muffin. And the only way I could do it is to order from the menu. And thus I have to interact with this particular barista. And
Uh-huh.
she pushes herself. She's physically actually trying to speak it, but the barista could see that like it shows that there's kindness from also people
Right?
outside, and she's like, please point at the menu what you would like and such. So it's a good compromise, and she's taking the baby step of, hey, I got what I needed. Next time, I'll actually say what I need.
Yes, and that's absolutely what I love about her. Her story is just so adorable.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and going back to the main series at hand, then you got this dude's ex. Straight up mean, spiteful. She's literally willing to go out of her way to stop this guy from advancing his main plot with the main girl that he's been crushing on, that he's been constantly renting out, and just trying to drive a wedge between them for no apparent reason other than just being petty, being spiteful. Even though this girl absolutely can just go on with her life with anyone else, for some reason she's like, I broke up with you. I dumped you and I left you crying alone, completely heartbroken, just sad all around. But seeing you happy is not something I want in my life. I want you to stay sad for no apparent reason, or at the very least, just not have them be with anyone else, which just completely eludes me. But as to being like this whole like frustration with the series, the lengths he goes with this main girl on just helping her out in her personal life, even though that's a huge breach of contract, and just really trying to make her happy and fulfill her dreams of being an actress. And at one point, even starting a crowdfunding campaign to kind of help gather the budget and create the movie and have her be the lead actress of a movie that she wanted to be before her grandmother passes away, because her grandmother was an actress. And the main girl is like, hey, I want to be an actress just like my grandma was, and I want her to be there to see it before she passes away. Pretty awesome goal. Huge time crunch, but this dude pulls like the biggest Hail Mary I've ever seen, and he goes about all of this, and he does it, and the movie does fairly well, being like a private theater showing. And she asks him like, why are you going so far from me? And he does not have the courage to say, because I love you. He made up some kind of lame excuse that just was not satisfactory. And she was like, oh, okay. I thought it was because you love me or something. That'd be weird or something. Blushes about it, moves on with their life. And the plot still continues. Way more shenanigans ensue. I think that was mostly from the manga. I have no idea where the manga is now, but I just know the anime was just about this guy who absolutely does not really progress as a character. Can't even confess his feelings. Kind of is like this huge he is the embodiment of a loser. Like if you had to think of the word loser, this is that guy you would think of. And it's really sad and it's really frustrating because he literally has the best girl right beside him at all times, and I mean he just does not really care much for her. If this series ever does end, I will cry if he somehow ends up with the main lead and not this side chick who's just been his number one supporter since she was introduced.
Sorry.
Capiche? Comprende?
Yes, I do. Sorry, it's just I had a cough.
No, no excuses. All I see is disappointment. So
Anyway.
those are my 2 cents.
And I feel like that's gonna move on like your frustrations about certain things about the harems in our next
Heck
point.
no, I'm never getting back into that series ever again. It's dead to me.
Okay. And kind of moving on to like the stories, because again, we're focusing on the stories. That's all that we can focus on besides like the relationship aspects themselves and such like that. But a lot of the times with these harem animes, we have to follow the main character and such, so we only get a peek into the history of these love interests. And honestly, some of them get real interesting very quickly. But then we don't see much further than that because what we get is whatever the main character gets, and I want to know more. But this
You
main
want more from
character,
their perspectives, is what you were
but
saying.
I want to know more about these love interests because sometimes some of them have pretty rich backstories and such in certain scenarios and such like that. Like, for example, I this is a this is a very funny one because there's another anime that a lot of people call the Twilight of anime and such. But this
That's
this this right
interesting.
here, this right here is Twilight the anime mixed with Grey's Anatomy levels of like conflicted romance
I
lines.
thought you were gonna say this is Twilight the Anime 2 Electric Boogaloo.
It really is but instead of oh you have two choices. No, you have eight choices.
Okay, well, that's more than 5,
And they're all
so
brothers.
okay, well, that's a lot like quintessential quintuplets.
And okay, so here's the thing. All of them are married has the same dads
They're
who
all
married
married?
well all the okay, let me rephrase that. So in Diabolik Lovers, all of them, all the love interests are from the same dad, but different moms respectively. However, the plot line gets real funny with how it's that they're all vampires.
They're all half-brother vampires.
Yes.
Am I
And
getting that right?
yes, and some of them do have more interesting plot lines about their relationship with their families and stuff like that. Like one clearly just doesn't have any love from the mother and such like that. And it creates this really interesting dynamic of how he interacts with the main character with love because of how he experienced love from a maternal figure. And it's really interesting wanting to know more like psychologically. To be fair, I've been kind of on a hit with cinema therapy and stuff like that, and then analyzing the characters further psychologically and therapeutically. But these characters, we don't get much past that because they have like their advertising point of like he's the dark, mysterious, quiet one that wants nothing to do with you. He's the flirty one who likes to tease you. He's the creepy one and such like that. Like that's the advertising. And here's
Possibly
it.
being.
And then here again is the issue that we're getting baseline of they won't say much about their characters because again it's an ad for the game.
I get the feeling a lot of these harems you've seen are just fronts for games.
Yes, because there's not that many reverse harem animes that are like just solely for the anime.
I think that's a challenge.
I'm waiting for them to fix that issue soon.
I'm waiting for that patch to come out where they just stop posting games and then making animes out of them.
But yeah, like there are really fascinating backstories for these characters because one, they're a vampire. Two, you are technically the daughter of a priest, so you have like holy blood that they would get in like great vampiric powers from if they drink your blood,
I
kind
don't
of
think
thing.
that's how that works. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be the opposite. I'm pretty sure it's poisoned for
I
them.
don't know. I don't know. That's how it's described. That's why she was sent there in the first place. Again,
Speaking,
really weird plotline issues.
according to mythology, like any kind of like holy relic or item of any kind of any religion should be enough to deal damage to a vampire. Imagine just straight up having that running through your blood. You'd be untouchable to most vampires, I would imagine. And these guys are like, nah, we're feeling a little spicy today. We're gonna be drinking the the homemade detergent here. That is the main girl. I think that's a pretty good choice. But you do you. I'm only judging.
All right, what's your example? Because I don't want to think about Diabolik Lovers. Diabolik Lovers is a headache and a half.
You didn't even introduce you were talking about Diabolik Lovers. You immediately just dove right into it.
I don't like it and such like that. But okay, one thing I will say that I really, really like about it is that the music is different. In a good way and such like that.
Different.
Well, because okay, so most
I'm
music.
different. Yeah, I'm different.
Okay, so the thing is that with music and such like that, you get you get like some people belting out some really cool high notes and such like that, or like giving the raspy voice and such like that. With Diabolik Lovers, they go reeling in with the ASMR, like one's left side, right side, leaning in kind of sounds and such like that. Like, okay, if you look up,
immersive sound.
yeah, immersive sound on the music specifically, because all the characters, I think this is just a common trope between a lot of like reverse harem anime, is that all the characters could sing and such like that, because that's shown not only from Uta No Prince Sama, Diabolik Lovers. It's shown in like other animes, there's another Dance with Devil and such like that, and everything, that all the characters could sing. But here's the thing. And with Diabolik Lovers, they reel in on the whole, like, we're gonna use the whole 8D like surround sound kind of effect that headphones could take advantage of. Like, if you just look up,
They'll be talking to you through like in the back of your head. You can just hear them like whispering behind you. You're like, what the?
it really is. Like, if you look up Sadistic Night from the Diabolik Lovers game or anime, I think it's the anime specifically.
Choice of words I wouldn't use in a
and
sentence.
stuff like that. No, the song is called Sadistic Night.
Those are
Mr.
words that we're not
Night.
using.
And such.
I would
But
not use
I am
those
I am
in
naming the title of the song. But it is really interesting when you get towards like the bridge of the song. That's the one thing I'll say. And every other song that is featured from the games to the anime and such, they try to monopolize at least one aspect of the song to have that ASMR like moment.
Okay.
And I think that's one of like the core advertisings of the series that makes them unique from the other reverse harem animes. That's the one thing I will praise on it.
Okay, that's kind of sad. I was gonna ask, like, is there anything specifically about the story you like? No.
No.
Okay, it's the only praise it's getting. Now and forever, be quiet. We're moving on. Okay.
I want to get to your example. I don't want to think about Diabolik's Lovers like a weird plotline.
All right. Speaking of weird plot lines, do you want to know the plot line to this one? To Love Room.
Didn't you say this at one point when we were talking about a Dare series?
Did I talk about aliens and those aliens being sisters and the three sisters all being like pink haired and all of them being like
I
heirs
remember
to the
you
own
bringing
the
up
universe?
Love to Rue, and that's it.
Okay, no, I talk about one character specifically, the assassin, who kind of failed at being an assassin, but don't worry, there's like a backup assassin, and then there's like the some kind of evil magic demon who isn't really an assassin, but just kind of works in collaboration with those two because they all share the same power. I think they kind of get it from that evil demon thing, but that's not the point here. The point is, you got our main boy. I forgot his name already. Rito. That's his name, Rito. I was about to say Yuki. I was like, that's wrong anime. Rito here, likes this one girl in school, fails to find the courage to confess. And he's been crushing on her for a while. She's kind of receptive to his advances, but I mean, he's not aware of that at all. He's denser than a black hole. So one night, I guess one day, one night, point is, he goes home is in his room, in his like just chilling, going about his day like any teenager would. I guess being sad about not confessing your love or just worrying about schoolwork and all that. And then boom, girl just crashes through the window and just lands on his lap. I think she was naked, and the main dude was like, "Hey, yo, I don't like what you're putting on here. This ain't for me. I didn't pay anything. I'm not paying anything for this service." And she's like, "Oh, I am an alien. See my tail? I come from outer space." And the dude's like, "All right, I'll buy it." And she's like, "Yeah, specifically, I'm the princess to the galaxy." He's like, "Okay, well, that's a pretty high position." And she's like, "Yeah, I kind of run away from home. No big deal. Anyways, I'm gonna be crashing here for a while. If that's all right with you, that's all right, fine with me. Yeah, okay, so it is fine with you. Anyways, tomorrow I'll be going to school, and then absolutely nothing will go on other than me being in love with you because you kind of saw me naked, and I think you're a pretty cool human. Like, how many humans have you met? Just you. All right, we're doing this." And the series just kind of goes on from there. Wacky supernatural things ensues. Her sisters show up. Her dad shows up at one point seeking approval. He's a munchkin, as far as I can tell. He's a manlet. There you go. He's a manlet. He's kind of short, but he's really like a tough guy. He looks an awful lot like a 10-year-old. I will tell you that much. I don't really know what it was up with the mother when she saw him, but it is what it is. I ain't judging, except I am judging. And there's also ghosts. Two of his teachers are aliens. The nurse is an alien researcher, a researcher who's also an alien, who cloned herself to be the weapon that you had me talk about in that other Dead A series, the assassin, who's technically a biological weapon. Anyways, that researcher was kind of a failure as a mother, mostly because she's kind of clumsy and doesn't know how to really word her uh find the right words, but dang it, she tries, and that I think that's what makes her great. At one point, they come across a ghost. That ghost also happens to be a cute anime girl. She doesn't really have a place to live at the moment because she was just tired of living in an abandoned house, abandoned building. So she's now works at the school as a nurse's assistant. Don't question how that works. Anyways, plot goes on. And the whole premise is he wants to just fall in love with one girl. The main girl, who he's not in love with for the most part, is like, "Hey, I love you too. Why don't you love both of us?" And he's like, "That's not how that works. There are laws here in Japan." And she's like, "Okay, but like I am the heiress to the galaxy. So if I become queen of the galaxy and you're married to me, then you are king of the galaxy, and therefore, technically, human laws no longer apply to you. So you can technically marry as many women as you like." And he's like, "Well, I don't really know if I have that much heart to love so many people, you know? I kind of just want to be with one person for the rest of my life." And she's like, "Okay, well, I mean, if that's what you want, that's cool." One of her sisters is like, "That's not cool. I want this harem plan to go through. In fact, I'm gonna find every single woman in the vicinity and throw them into this plan of the harem. That's gonna be my main goal." And that is actually kind of one of the biggest plot points going throughout the entire story. Um, and going back to the main issue I have with it is, the story kind of revolves around the MC. And although you do have backstories to these characters, some of them only like not a whole lot of them really actually do have their backgrounds explained and developed, or it's more like they have the backstory, they have problems, main character solves the problem, and then that's kind of it with them. That's just kind of where they are. In love with them, their problem has been resolved, and you don't really get to see more like a day in the life of Momo or a day in the life of literally anyone else. It's really just him going about his crazy life, now having to live with his sister, his not girlfriend, his not girlfriend's two sisters, and it's really just a big headache having to live with someone who really is like, I wouldn't say an evil genius. They're just a genius that who has plans that often backfire with their inventions, so things kind of go awry. So you could say she's kind of like an evil genius. No, she's more of an airheaded genius. That's what she is. Um, Device number 5 that makes you smell like soap and lavender. Oh no, the machine broke. Now you smell like soap and lavender, and all the animals in the vicinity are hunting you down because they really like your smell. Sorry, it's too strong now. My bad. That's the problem for the episode. But yeah, no development for most of the characters. He kind of just like, I can't even really like explain what happens with his whole thought process in this whole thing because the author kind of wrote the ending out of spite, mostly because his wife divorced him, and he was gonna have the other side girl win, the girl who he's been crushing on for the longest time. He got divorced. So he's like, okay, well, she reminds me too much of her, so I'm not gonna have that person win. So now it's gonna be the main alien girl that you met in the very beginning, who's been, along this whole adventure. Who is gonna win? She doesn't really improve as a character. She doesn't really stand out to really like win your favor or anything. She's just kind of a flat character all around, and I'm like, hey, you really could have spent more time developing these side characters. I mean, I'm kind of tired of just always looking at the main character's perspective, and it's just kind of something that's really upsetting. But the music is pretty fun, if nothing else. I absolutely love the first opening. I think I got I got good memories of that.
Sorry, I'm trying to be polite and be quiet about all of that, and I'm just
No, no,
sitting
no!
here
Please
like watching
interrupt,
you.
interrupt, and be like, "Hold on a second. What do you mean by this? Hold on a second. What do you mean by that?" Because that's where the real meat of the matter is. Like asking questions mid sentence. Yeah, I think is what
I
makes it
just
more
I
fun.
just want you to actually have your train of thought. That's all I
No, no, it's
want.
fine. Sometimes it actually helps become much more solid. Like
A
as,
solid
as, as
train of thought.
thoughts.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
All
the
right,
more
all right.
questions you ask, like, oh well, obviously because this happens and then this thing happens afterwards.
All
But
right, all
why
right, all
that
right. I'm
specifically?
just
Oh,
gonna
because
move
of
on.
that.
I'm just gonna move on to the next point because I feel like this is the one that hits the most that we could both agree on. Is that
Oh,
most of the time these harems have really weak concepts to make the harem exist and such. Obviously, we talked about the previous animes where they have like really weird concepts and such like that and everything. But here's one. Here's one. Okay. Would you consider your stepbrothers to be love interests? Because that's the story of brothers conflict.
as long as they're not half brothers, I guess that works.
No, they're stepbrothers. Like your
Yeah,
dad
as long as
married
they're
their
not your
mom.
half brother, that's fine.
But the
That
thing
that
is, the thing that really like makes me insane about this is the fact that like you have 13 options. One of them is technically underage, so technically you got 12 options and such like that. One of them's been your best friend for the longest time, and now he's your brother and such like that. And then we even got like one of the love interests is a doctor who is technically an adult and almost like twice your age.
that is a very interesting option on the table.
Yeah, like
Why is that there?
I
Is he at least handsome? Or is he like a middle-aged balding guy?
Well, okay, he is handsome in regards of the anime. Now, whether it's personal taste, I wouldn't say, but that's just my personal taste. To be fair, the art style kind of confuses me on some of the hairstyle choices, and such like that. Like, I have one that looks like Yugimoto, kind of like a Goku hairstyle going on. That's the
He's
best
ready to
friend.
duel.
Okay, okay. And it's like, okay, so how did this become a thing and such like that? So your dad married their mom. They want to
Mhm.
welcome you in the family, but as they slowly got to know you, they started saying that they were in love with you and such. And I'm like, but they're your brothers.
But they're
On
your
a
brother.
on the technicality, they are your brothers and such like that. The one that technically made the move first is an adult. You are you yourself, or like main character, either way, you main character is the same thing, placeholder and
You
stuff
are
like
not
that.
the
By the
adult
way,
then.
one of your love interests is technically a human version of your pet squirrel.
She has a pet squirrel.
She has a pet squirrel.
I think that's important context.
It's very weird context.
I think it's essential
And the only
nonetheless.
person that could talk to the squirrel is one of your brothers.
Like through psychic connection or just straight up he just knows squirrel.
He knows animals speak.
Okay. I thought it'd be more funny if he only knows like squirrel specifically. Squeak, squeak, squeak him, squeak, 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 squeak
We're
him.
not dealing with Kronk.
Squeak, squeak, squeak him.
With the Squirrel
Squeak,
Scouts or
squeak, squeak,
something like
squeak, squeak,
that.
squeak. Okay,
Junior
great.
Woodchuck.
He says he wants more nuts. So you might want to like change up his diet for next week or something.
Okay, that is like my main issue with it. The rest of it is just hijinks ensue.
Okay, you just don't like how the
The
whole
plot
hey,
comes
this is your
along.
these are your brothers now.
But
Have
like,
fun.
what I mean is that it's a very weak concept. It's just like, okay, so this is how they got together and stuff like that. It's just like, okay, question mark.
Okay.
We're supposed to just go along with it. The same thing goes with Kamigami no Asobi, which is the Japanese name. There's no English dub for it, and I am not gonna go over an English dub for it. I would die on it because the fact is that we're gonna touch on the very 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 overused mythos of Greek mythology and turn them into handsome anime boys that have to attend Greek god high school question mark, and you are a human that was summoned from Earth.
Okay, but is it a host club?
No.
Okay, and like that you've lost me.
Also, I don't like how Hades looks like in that anime. Hades the
You go on.
not appealing.
Okay, to be fair, no one ever said Hades was like a deceptively attractive person. It's more like he's just a dude. He does his own things.
He does his
People
job
don't.
very very well.
He is the best guardsman of the underworld you would ever want. Pretty good at their job. And you know that just means he's too busy. He can't really like go out there, work on his image, find him a wife. He had to go out of his way to barter to like win over someone as his wife, who's technically being held for ransom, but not really because every equinox season he kind of like hands them over back to their family, and then they, come back every so often. It's a really strange relationship Hades has going on in his life.
Look. The
How many times
the
have you
anime
looked?
the anime is very weird on the concept, and it's just like, okay, now you have the potential to date Greek gods who are high school anime boys, and I'm just like, look, I would
Do
have
they
been fine.
embody them, or are these just like technically like several thousand-year-old flabby men disguising themselves as young Japanese high school kids?
No. We are in Olympus. The Olympus has turned into like a
Okay.
mythical high school, and all the Greek gods have to attend there in order to see who gets the right to rule over Olympus and such.
Does this take place like several thousand years ago, or does this take place like in the modern day?
In the modern day,
What happened like a few thousand years ago? Was
I
there no
don't
competition back
know.
then?
I don't know. That's why I'm saying the plot line is just like, okay,
It's a really weak concept. Got it.
yeah, and such like that. Literally, whoever created was like, I want to date the Greek gods, but the Greek gods are like these burly old men. Not anything against that. It's just that's not what they wanted in Japan, and it was just like, okay, how can I change it and stuff like that. Here you go, isekai, and I'm like, I guess.
I guess we're doing this now, huh? Okay. Well,
Like, you lost me on episode 1, and I'm not sticking around anymore. I give a 3 episode rule for any anime that I watch, and if I am not invested by episode 3, I am out.
okay. Well, I think that's a pretty fair assessment of the 3 episode rule. Pretty practical application. If it didn't vibe with you then, it probably won't vibe with you until later. And I don't care how much you gripe and complain. Just because you give the 3 episode rule to One Piece does not mean that it's gonna get better over time. It does get better over time, but no one's gonna stick around for 1,000 episodes for things to start ramping up. Would you stick around for 1,000 episodes?
Uh, no.
Very sad answer. I knew it.
I was thinking about it and I was like, look, I already committed myself to Detective Conan of all things.
That's your 1,000 episode series you gotta watch.
Yes. I
Oof.
committed too hard. I'm on like 300 something and I haven't picked it up back since. And at this point, I might as well just get back on it. I have nothing to do while I'm at work. I might as well watch episodes.
That is sad. Okay.
Anyway,
What are
your picks. I know one of them we already talked about. Technically, the other one we talked about, but you could touch on them again.
I mean, it's not that I talked about one. I literally talked about both of these like 10 minutes ago. Rent-A-Girlfriend and To Love Ru. You can quickly piece together by my obnoxiously long synopsis as to why these concepts don't really hold their weights. Especially when you really consider the harem.
Mm.
Rent-A-Girlfriend. Dude is literally too sad to get himself a new girlfriend, so he goes out and buys himself one temporarily and keeps spending his money on one. And then the others just kind of slowly uh aggregate in his vicinity, and they just kind of, you can just somehow call that a harem
Mm-hmm.
somehow. I will not question it how, but it's a really weak reasoning for it to be a harem. To Love Ru, imagine just, being in your room after a long day of school,
And
and then
then
this girl
Alien
tries.
said,
No, 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 no. And then this alien girl has the audacity to, I think, break your window. I think that's what happened. If not, if not, she just straight up teleported into his room. I like to think she literally burst through his window. Like really like action Hank hero like type of style. Landed not on the floor, not on the bed, literally on him. It was like, hey, just giving him the Miles Morales speech, and he was, and just like that, boom, you now have yourself a wife. Boom, you now have sisters-in-law. Boom, your sister-in-law now wants to make a harem for you, even without your consent, against your consent. Not really a strong motivator for a harem. It's more like, well, these girls are pretty, and I am the viewer watching this, so therefore, this is okay in my book. If you think about it for more than 2 seconds, it really starts to fall apart real quick when you take into consideration morals and legality of the whole situation. Um,
I'm sorry, my brain is having a brain fart after hearing all of that and
That's
everything.
fine. I'll briefly talk about one last thing that wasn't mentioned on the list here, but I will say it's basically what you talked about with brothers conflict. It's domestic girlfriend.
It's
Literally same thing, same
except
plot line,
girl with main male love
except all the
interest.
characters are gender bent, and one of them wins with the coma strats. I don't know what that was about, but it won them the fight in the end, and it was really weak reasoning. Hey, I hope that I hooked up with this girl. She vaguely reminds me of my teacher who I have a crush on. Oh, guess what? These two, person that I slept with and person I've been crushing on, are both related and are both now my sisters. And now the parents are gone. Whatever shall I do?
Okay. Here's the very last little detail that I dislike about harems that kind of rub me the wrong way. Arguably,
Who deserved to win?
the best love interests tend to not win.
For
Like
very disappointing
if
reasons.
there was to be a dedicated winner for like they get the main character's love, 9 times out of 10 it's not even the right person. It is usually like the first choice or something like that, or in some cases like the popularity vote, and it's like no, the clear best answer is right here and you just glossed over it and stuff. Okay. This is another harem anime. It's not mainly a harem anime, but technically it is, and such like that. It is Alice in the Country of Hearts, which technically also is Alice in the Country of Clovers, Alice in the Country of Spades, Alice in Wonderland, reverse harem anime. And yes, this
Interesting
is
plot
another
line.
this is another one that is also has a game involved and has multiple mangas throughout, and you could get like every different character kind of thing and stuff. Technically, Alice doesn't get together with a dedicated one depending on which timeline that you're reading and such. Yes, it's different timelines of all things and such like that.
That's not fun.
Time travel. Uh, well, that's gonna be another trope that I'm gonna hate. But okay, so Alice, in a technicality, gets together with the white hair, who I am blanking on his name now because all of them are technically have official names and stuff like that. But here's the thing. Here's the
That's
thing.
wild.
Here's the thing. I feel personally that Alice should have gotten together with the clock keeper. The clock keeper was technically the best character and most like the best husband relationship ever. And as much as everyone will say like, well, if you let them, set them free and stuff, and I'm like, BS. BS.
Lies.
He's seen all the timelines. He's seen all the truths and such like that. How everything could have gone wrong and such like that, and wanted to protect Alice from all the heartache and such like that, but knew that he had to make the sacrifice to let Alice have a freedom of choice. And I'm just like, Alice, you dumb. You dumb girl, please. The timekeeper is the best choice. He cares about you. Yeah, sometimes he's a little Cinderella about it, but like, he cares about you. He lets you have free choice and everything. Why not recuperate those feelings?
Because then there would be no conflict in the story. The story would end very quickly and happily, might I add.
Ah,
You need conflict in the story. You
the
need
white
to
hair.
have the back and
The
forth.
white hair is in my opinion, like the worst choice aside from the Mad Hatter.
I was gonna say, what up with the Mad Hatter and the Cheshire Cat or the Caterpillar?
The Cheshire Cat is technically that's Cece's.
Clinically insane.
Well, the Cheshire Cat is Cece's favorite and such like that. He's very much kind of like that teasing kind of trope in terms of the characters and stuff like that. The Mad Hatter is suave, but given in the
Well, that
name,
doesn't sound like the Mad Hatter at all.
uh, he he's a serial killer.
Okay, well, that's not the direction I
Did you
thought it was
know
heading
that
in.
another love interest is the Queen of Hearts? Yes, it's not just a reverse harem. You got also the female interest.
Wasn't there one like I like it was one of them villainous animes, and she just kind of ended up like accidentally seducing everyone. Main like male leads and female leads, just with their charisma of, hey, I really don't want to get killed, so I am going to, like, avoid talking to everyone, stop being mean, and try to
Reincarnated as
travel
the
my.
villainess or something like that.
It's one of the villainous stories, the most popular one, the airheaded one, who just accidentally like romances everyone she kind of like comes across in the main story. Absolutely
Look.
well timed.
Look, there's so many and such like that. It's all funny and everything, and such like that. But again, 9 times out of 10, if we were to get a canonical ending and such like that, they usually don't pick the right ones, and I despise that every single time.
I don't know why they do that. I don't know what the Japanese audience is thinking. Like, hey, this is clearly the best choice. And I'm over here like, no, stupid. That's not the right choice at all. Why would you vote for this ending? This is clearly the not like best ending you could have gotten. You can clearly get the best ending if you go with this other character.
And such like that, or like in my opinion, School Days,
Yeah,
where he gets his comeuppance.
I could believe it.
Anyway,
100%.
the I didn't want to think too much about like the rant of like you should have picked this, you should have picked that. I limited myself to one anime or series to do this on and such, but you have words to say.
Yeah, a good chunk of the ones we went over, and ones I have even yet to go over. Nisekoi, Onodera, that girl that the main dude's been crushing on for the longest time. She absolutely deserved it 100% because she gave the main character nothing but love, comfort, advice, and the other main girl that he eventually settled with was just kind of like, I hate you. I hate you so much. I want you to die. I want you to bleed right before me, and it couldn't make me any happier, too. All right. I mean, I guess you're cool, too. It's not like I like you or anything, Baka, to all right, well, I mean, I guess I kind of do like you, but I'm not gonna make a big deal out of it too. All right, I guess we're dating now. I This is against my will, kind of not really. I kind of wanted this to have happen, and I mean, with the main girl like right there, the perfect one for the story, just absolutely doesn't get it like at the end. I know there are going to be people out there who are going to say, well, technically, I could have preferred this other character to be with them. That's absolutely fine. That's valid. I also liked, if it's not Onodera, like the main girl who's been crushing on the main guy for the longest time, for me, it is for sure the second run up is going to be that police girl, that daughter of like the police like chief. She absolutely went out of her way to let the main character know every single day, hey, I love you. I care about you. I remember when we were kids that you don't remember how much I've been caring about you for this entire time. Won't you go out with me? And he's just kind of like, I mean, I'm kind of pretending to be in love with this other girl, and I mean, we'll eventually fall in love for reals. But for now, I can't because the plot demands it. And again, I absolutely hate that because the one, if it's not the girl who absolutely deserves it for being kind, sweet, and just always there, it's for sure the girl who's constantly saying, I love you, I want to be with you, let's get together. And, neither of them wins. It's just the Sundera that wins in the end for some reason. The author thought that would be the gold mine right there.
Ah, mate.
That's Nisekoi. The next one,
Uh,
just second verse, same as the first. Rent-A-Girlfriend.
we're gonna keep saying this over and
Literally,
over again, guys.
Ruka. That's the name of the girl who's going up to like the main loser of a main character is like, hey, I like
I
you.
see you
I
did a
love
little
you.
bit of research while I was talking.
I I only looked up the name. Ruka absolutely love because it's the same thing like with that police girl from Nisekoi. I love you. I want to be with you. I'm here. I want to go out with you. And the main character is just not really receptive to that for some reason. It's the weirdest thing. Normally, these viewers who are watching these animes probably don't really have a lot of options in their life. So I'm sure they would be absolutely like over the moon uh for someone who says, "Hey, I'm in love with you," and they're actually pretty attractive. It just absolutely like I just lose my mind thinking that hey, the author thought to themselves, my demographic are a bunch of losers who are really into this show. What is the best girl to like entice them and bring them into the show, and who will win in the end? I know the worst possible choice I can have out of the list of characters. That's exactly who will win, and that's exactly what they'll love.
And then you had another one here? Like, I'm letting you talk, man. I want you to take the show at this point.
I'll lock up as well. Don't worry. Next one, quintessential quintuplets. You got Miku, and you have her other sister.
Hashune
I can't
Miku?
remember. You know, maybe no. I mean, she could, but no. I didn't even get to give it like any synopsis for this. Just
Okay.
know this one guy is pretty smart overall. He gets leased out to be a tutor because he normally works as a tutor. He's that
Mm.
smart, and the client is like, "Hey, I have my daughters. They absolutely suck at learning. I would like for you to teach them. Now, teach them." I was like, "Okay, sure." And he goes about teaching them. They are really stubborn. They want them to quit out of sheer anger, and then absolutely just kind of like turns around and they're like, I kind of like this guy. He's pretty nice. He's really dedicated to the grind. Um, and they just kind of slowly start falling in love with them in some way, shape, or form. Now, here's something that I kind of like and hate about this series, because normally the way these series goes is that the first character you see um is usually like the main person that the main character is going to fall in love with. That's just kind of how it's been for like all of these series when it comes to romance. Oh, I am the main character. I am going about my day. Oh, there is that person who is colored very differently from the others. They got the blue hair. That's how you know they're the main character for me. And and they're the main one on the cover. They're the main one on the any wallpaper you have for the show, and that's how you know they're absolutely going to be the first one to win the heart of the MC, because they were the first one. They're the poster girl of the series.
And nothing else. It's not like we had other options in the first place.
But here's the thing with the quintessential quintuplets. I totally thought that the first girl, the first quintuplet he met, was gonna be the one he was gonna fall in love with. It was so stereotypical. It followed all like the archetypes that you would expect from this. To just have him be at the very end. I like her. I want to be with her. What was her name again? Itsuki. It was Itsuki. She actually has the most like plain design out of all the sisters, which is why I had assumed like, oh, she's definitely gonna be the one to win. She was not the one to win, and she actually wasn't really in love with the main character all that much. She wanted to pursue her hobby of being. She wanted to pursue her dream of being a teacher. The others were in love with him, however, which is a really weird slap to the face of this main girl is the first one you saw. She's not gonna win. It's someone else entirely. I'm like, that is a fresh, like, change I really, really liked. What I did not like was him just choosing someone who was absolutely out of the blue picked, because you had like the oldest, I think was Ichika. She's like an actress. She's technically quote unquote the oldest. She was born first, and then the others followed soon after by minutes.
Yeah.
Short hair, actress. She relied on some pretty scummy tactics to kind of like win the guy over and seduce him. Didn't really work out too well. I absolutely hated her for it, because she kind of like crushed her sister's feelings in the process. Um, and I don't think she ever really got to be sorry for that, for those events that happened. And I mean, the main dude thankfully wasn't really into that. Um, but then you have the next two best competing girls. This is like a pretty heated debate in my mind. With Nino and Miku. Miku is like the shy, quiet, reserved girl who really likes reading and studying literature. Other than that, her grades suck entirely, even in literature. And she's just so great with one, how her character is, her design alone is just immediately appealing, and the way she acts and behaves is really kind of like that shy, quiet, keeps to yourself, but constantly trying to push yourself to do more, to do better, and that's a really admirable trait. And she even pushes herself out to break out of her quiet, reserved shell, try to get a
All
job.
this work for nothing.
I Yes, and I hate it. I absolutely hate it. 100%. She was like the main girl to go to if there was literally no one else. But then you also have Nino, the sister, who at first she was like a tsundere for like 1/4 of the series, and then she immediately flipped her tune, and she was immediately going aggressive in her love campaign. She was telling him, "Hey, you look cute today. Hey, what kind of underwear are you wearing? Hey, you want to go out sometime? Hey, like how about you give me some extra like time to help me study or something." She's like absolutely just laying it on thick. You cannot get around the fact she was trying to flirt with him as soon as like she kind of like fell in love with him. It was absolutely wild, but she was always persistent in her like endeavors. She never stopped. In fact, she even went out of her way to discover her passion in cooking. And Miku kind of went along with her and was like, "Hey, I also want to get a job as a patissiere." I think they like work making cakes or something. And I love how they both just kind of supported each other throughout that like little mini arc in the story. Again, I absolutely hate how the two best girls in the story
Don't
did
get
not win.
anything. Out of all of it.
Not even the one that was flirting super hard. The dude was like, I'm not really receptive to that because in my memories that I have forgotten from long ago and or simply ignored up until right this very moment was that there was a girl, one of you quintuplets, who I was in love with, who I kind of had feelings for, but I had only seen you once, and that was it. But back then, you all looked exactly alike before you got into high school and started to change up your looks and all try to break apart from each other to make yourselves more individually different.
And now I don't know which.
And then I don't know which, except I do know it's the end of the story, and I finally was able to piece together everyone's personality, everyone's traits, without having to rely on their actual distinctive hairstyles that they have.
Yeah.
Because they got like really like crazily different hairstyles, and even if they all wore the same wig, he can now just point out who is who accurately, 100%. Um, kind of the point where it's kind of scary. And he knows exactly who it was that he fell in love with all those years ago. And it was the one girl who kind of kept quiet, never once tried to actively speak to him, wasn't even shy or reserved. She was always just doing her own thing. Of course, it was the one, the only, the Yotsuba, the athletic girl who just had nothing to do with the story for the most part, other than just kind of maybe supporting the other characters, and then that was it. And at the very end, he's like, you were the one. It's
I
like,
loved
what?
you.
How did you know that? Yeah, he's like, I love you. Go out with me. She's like, no, I can't. It wouldn't be fair
uh,
to all of my other sisters who are in love with you. Specifically, like the three, not the fourth one. And she is the fifth one. And he's like, well, I mean, I love you for you, and I don't think they would really mind. And she was like,
really,
all right.
Mike? Okay,
They'll
okay.
understand they lost the race that they to someone that didn't to someone who didn't wasn't even aware they were in the race to begin with.
Okay, basically we listed all our grievances about harems and stuff. I do have to mention there are some harem anime games that we do like and such like that. And I'm gonna quickly go over the list of like the ones that we do like and such like that. So, for example, I am an active player of Love and Deep Space. I love it.
I
That's it.
thought you were saying I am an actress. I was like, well, this is news to me.
No, I am an active player on Love and Deep Space. I love it. The game is very interesting on how it does its fan service and such like that. And if you actually pay attention to the plotline with how your character interacts with all the other characters that are the love interests and such like that, it all makes sense within the plot lines, and they all have reasons why they can't really go forward to revealing their feelings, which is because of reincarnation, previous life reasons kind of thing and stuff. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. I can follow along from there and such like that. It's convoluted, but I mean, like, it makes sense in terms of the things that we've been following along, and it's consistent through the stories, and I'm fine with that and such.
Okay.
And also, the fan service doesn't kind of helps.
It does or does not.
It helps. It helps make it appealing.
That's how you target the demographic. That's exactly
Mm.
what you want.
Yeah. Okay. You have another one in there. Yours is the second one.
Yeah. Yes, it's called Pseudo Harem. It's mostly just a manga at the moment. As far as I'm aware, I think it's really like a short-ish story.
Mm-hmm.
Really cute. The reason why it's called a pseudo harem is because it's this one girl who really wants to become like a famous actress. So she's regularly like, practicing her performances. And the main guy who she's dating, the main character, I guess you could say, is kind of like, hey, I want to date a bunch of girls, but I'm really only committed to you, the main one. So I
He
want you to
wants
just put
the
on different person.
He wants the polyamory experience, but is monogamous.
That's a weird way of putting it, but sure. He's like, I want you to act as a dandere. I want you to put on a performance as a dere, a tsundere.
He's a fan of our series where it talks about all the dinners.
Dere, you got them? I want them. Give them to me. And she's just kind of like, happily going along,
It
acting out
gives
in
me
these different
practice. It
ways.
gives me practice for what I
It
need.
gives her practice as yeah, it definitely gives her like practice and it just improves her range. I absolutely loved the premise of that of I'm technically in a harem. but I'm not. Uh,
It's
it's
very
a really
cute. It's
weird.
very cute. I will say that.
It's a very cute story. I highly recommend looking for it.
Okay, and then okay, so I'm a blitz through the rest of them real quick and stuff. I love Tears of Demis. Tears of Demis is also is another gacha reverse harem game. Yes, it's by the same people. It's by Hoyo and such like that. Love the story, love the gameplay and stuff like that. The card's very appealing. It does all it does all like the cutesy little fan servicey stuff that I like and everything. And also it doesn't hurt that the game is actually really interesting plot wise, and in the end none of them technically get to the level of like wanting of like getting to put a move on your character, which is Rosa in this case, and such like that. But they all get owned by okay, in the last trial you're dealing with like this family situation and there's a child involved and such like that. And you've been helping like investigate and then speaking with this child and such. And the case gets completed, you win and such like that. And to thank you, the little kid gives you a kiss on the cheek while everyone else on the team who is your love interest like see this and they're all shocked like, "Wait,
I
he could we could he put a move that's
he
possible?" And I'm like,
he put his
"Yes."
moves on our girl.
And I'm just like, "Yes. Yes. Start start
Start going on the
start the
offensive,
ripple."
cowards. You got 3 minutes.
You can do it and stuff like that. Like they realize like, "Wait, the rules don't apply no more." the
The
no
game
kiss
has been
the
changed.
no kissy rule has been broken. And then right after we got cards where they're actually kissing the MC, and I'm just like, "Yes." uh
Phenomenal.
Kiss him not me, which is just a reverse harem where the girl just wants nothing to do with it and such. And I know some people are thinking about like the Netflix anime where it's I forgot the name of it, but it's basically like the main character doesn't want to fall in love with any of the male interests and stuff like that. No, Kiss Him Not Me doesn't follow that. It's not that she's not interested in men. She is just she's a fujoshi, which for layman's terms, she likes boys love, and so she ships the her male love interests together and thinks that they're gay and thinks that they look good together and stuff like that. And she's a big fan of that.
That's her fetish.
Yeah, and such like that. And it's hilarious. It is a comedy at best, and it's just great.
A tragedy at worst.
For the guys who actually have a crush on her after she got skinny and pretty.
She was one of those in the past.
Mm-hmm. Monster Musume, I also really like, aside from the fan service in some cases. But Monster Musume.
I know none of what you speak. Can you talk about the plot?
No. Okay, so literally,
all right.
It's a guy. He is assigned in the program to help reproduce for these monsters and such.
Lies.
Like
That's a lie, and you know it. It's a guy in a program. So here's the thing. He was just going about his daily life. I forgot what it was. I think they kind of imply, like in some chapters later, he was previously a hitman or a thug of some kind. Turned over a new leaf. Was just going about his mundane Joe Schmo life when all of a sudden this snake girl comes out of nowhere and she's like, "Hey, I'm here for the interspecies exchange program." And the dude was like, "What are you talking about? I never signed up for such a program." And she's like, "But what do you mean? I got this address right here." And he's like, "What do you mean? I was never like such a thing that I signed up for." "Oh, would you look at that? I guess we're living together anyway," she says to him. The guy was like, "I don't know how I feel about this." And then shortly after, the government officials come up and they're like, "Hey, so
yeah,
we kind of what's the word? We did an oopsie doopsie, as the professionals call it, and we gave the wrong address. However, I guess now you're kind of in the program." And the dude's like, "Can I get out of the program?" And she's like, "No, darling, why would you ever want that?" And then the dude's like, "All right, I guess I'm not out of the program or whatever." But because of international laws, he's not allowed to put the move on her whatsoever because she's technically an endangered species. Because recently, only recently, were demi-humans discovered to be a thing. They're not myth. They're not fake.
But I love.
Continue with the start of your
Okay,
explanation.
okay, but here's the thing: what I love about this, he doesn't want to to put a move on them.
Because he can't! Legally, he can't!
But
Even
I,
if he wanted to, he simply cannot. It's
yeah,
against the law. He
yeah,
will
but
get
like, guess
arrested.
what? Guess what? That's a more reasonable explanation.
I think later, like halfway through, they're like, "All right, we can be a little bendy with the rules, and if these like animal girls ever go into like their mating time, some things can be allowed in their home country with visitors. You should visit." And the dude's like, "I don't want to." And the snake girl's like, "Let's go visit my mom." And he's like, "All right, I guess I don't have a choice." And then they all go, and then well,
Things
chaos and
happen.
hilarity ensues.
Things
Um,
happen, and it's funny.
Things happen in that jungle. Things happen in the farm when he goes visit a different set of girls. Things happens when a mermaid shows up. A literal mermaid is like, "Hey,
We have a harpy as an option. We have a spider queen as an option. What else do you want?
a spider, mommy, Dami, and the slime girl." You can't forget about the slime girl. Sue is best girl. She is adorable. Just don't give her any water. She will soak it up like it's no one's business in
All
all the
right,
right ways.
all right. The rest are your honorable mentions. Make it quick. We're gonna go lightning round.
Lightning road? No, that can't work. I have to explain these. I
No.
can't choose a childhood friend is next on the list. And would you believe it? Um, very briefly, dude wished so hard to meet again with this girl he met when he was a child. He actually remembered for once. That's a huge change in the like in the way these MCs worked and their really really terrible memories. He remembered this one girl he met, he fell in love with. He wanted to meet her again. He's been wishing that for 10 whole years. That little 10 years has given the little charm enough time to develop its own sentientness, has become a minor god and says, all right, my dude, I got you. Breaks up the girl into um uh, two different individuals so that way he can meet her more times than before, which was zero. So I guess two and zero, I guess, is like an infinite number of times more than before. But that's not the point. The point is now reality is slightly shifted, and this dude's kind of like trying to figure out who's the real girl he fell in love with. And then there are only 3 chapters. It gets wild. Now there's a fourth one running around, exact same look, slightly different hairstyle, same name and everything. They all move into the same classroom. What do you think is gonna happen next? Tune in next week, whenever that chapter releases. Moving on. Now we got Chain Soldier. I believe this actually had. Yes, this is the chain. This is a different name. The original title translated to English was like Slave of the Magical Empire.
Uh,
That word's a bit on the naughty list, so they had to go the little child-friendly route and go with Chain Soldier. That is the only child-friendly thing about this show. A lot of fan service happens in ways you cannot believe. In the world where only select few women are allowed to have superpowers and are allowed to contain these gates that lead into like another reality where there are monsters, our main dude accidentally slips into one, even though only women can really enter into these things. Being a rare exception, the main girl finds him, is a, I don't know how to describe her other than she's not a sadist, but she's like a really strict soldier, and she kind of figures out with her powers she can actually work with him because he actually has his own slightly different tweak to her powers. He augments her in some way, and there's a lot of restrictions. And because it's do or die, he really has no choice but to go along with it. He shows to be the most compatible weapon for her to use. And well, I mean, funny rom-com things happen with all the other girls in the barracks. It is what it is. Moving on. Eminence in the Shadow. It came out as an anime a few years back,
why did
with
you
the
put
main
it
character.
here?
Enough. You got the main guy. I am Atomic. I don't know what his name is. Let's call him Atomic. Mr. Atomic here always wanted to be stronger than a nuke. He got hit by a car one day after rescuing someone from a kidnapping. Gets isekai'd with magic, and he quickly figures out the magic system. He quickly develops an atomic bomb with magic, and he goes around rescuing girls And this dude has like a severe delusional like ambitions of wanting to be this like shadow king who rules the world from behind the curtain, so to speak. And he's just like going on like making up these wild fantasies about how there's like this evil demon king, there's a cult, there's like like this forsaken bloodline of the hero, and all this stuff that he's just kind of making up on the spot turns out to be true. All the girls he rescued, he kind of feeds these lies, these delusions when he was younger, and now that he's older, he's like, ah, yes, those are delusions. Those were lies. They dug into it deeper. Turns out it was all true. They're 100% believers to the cause. And now the main dude is just kind of like running around being a silly little goober while the girls are doing actual life-saving missions. And it's an interesting harem. I didn't think really would be as funny as it is, but it really is. Next to third on the list, we got 100 girlfriends who really, 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 really love you. Believe it or not, if
They really,
if they
really,
do not
really
love
love
him,
you.
they believe it or not, they really only just kind of like you. It's kind of mid. No, I'm joking. Dude wants a girlfriend, gets rejected 100 times. So the god of love literally goes up to him and says, "All right, my dude, I kind of made an oopsie when I was designing your character in the loadout screen. So I thought it would be funny."
You know the lore about like how like you have a soulmate because in previous lifetime like previously God intended for us to have like two heads, two arms, two legs, and such like that, but then divided us all so our
Yes.
hearts are like in halves kind of thing. God did that, but accidentally split the other half 100 times.
No, actually, what he ended up doing was actually giving him he forgot to write a one in there, so it was just basically a zero. So he kind of went back retroactively and was like, all right, so I updated your profile, and so I kind of messed up in the beginning. When you were born, you had no one who would ever love you, so you would never fall in love with anyone. But
Mm.
I made an oopsie, and one drunken night, I may or may not have a little bit of too much drinking. I finally got around to putting in that one. I just misplaced the one, and there was a few extra zeros at the end of it. It was a joke off of something I thought would be funny at the time. I didn't think it would backfire this bad, but now you have like hundreds and hundreds of like I think you have like 100 girlfriends who love you. It's like, okay, cool. I guess I could just pick one then since I have so many options. Like, well, take it easy there, Tiger. What happens is if you reject a girl, she you are literally the only soulmate for her. She will literally die alone if you do not confess your feelings to her. So you have two options. Either A, hope you never meet 100 girlfriends, or B, you better love all 100 girlfriends. It's like, I can do that. I got enough love in me for 100 people. Hilarity ensues. Really funny, really great. I think one of them does drugs. She's a chemist. And she also does methamphetamine as a chemist. Highly recommend looking into it. The second last of the list, we had gone over quintessential quintuplets. I don't need to go any further explaining that.
Next one.
Last one, we never learn. Main dude is really good at studying. Wait, I've heard this before. And he needs to teach these girls who are not that good at studying. Wait, I've heard this before. But thankfully, there's only two, not five. They're both geniuses in their respective fields, but they want to learn the other field that they're really, really weak at. So this dude tries to come up with ways and solutions to try and improve them and trying to get them to be better. He meets other girls along the way. This one girl who wants to study to be a nurse, his teacher. I can't remember. There was another character. I feel like it was five different girls. So there is the main story ending that kind of ends on a cliffhanger, but then the author does this big twist of having canonical multiple endings. You have route 1 out of 5, and he goes on about how he kind of like dated this one of the main girls and how they were happily in love, and like a little bit of an after story to go along with it. And it goes on for girl number 2 out of 5, 3 out of 5, out of 4 out of 5, until you finally get to the last one, and they show you basically all the multiple what ifs if you went with this girl instead. And that is the biggest change of pace I absolutely loved. And I would really like for there to be more stories really incorporating that into the canon of just, hey, whatever ending we have here, that's canon. And you can like that.
But
It's
yes.
just life changing to me. I really love that.
Okay. Consensus out of all of this that we talked about both the good and the bad harem anime. Do you still like harem anime after all this?
There are definitely stories. No, actually, no, not at all. There are definitely more stories that are being written now, more stories that will be written. So if there is something that you do not like right now, I am pretty sure at least I will find something later for sure that I Can't Choose a Childhood Friend is shaping up to be a really wild and fun and wacky and fresh take on the harem series. I
Mm,
can't wait to see where it goes. Three
I
chapters in,
go ahead.
mind blowing.
I have to say that for at least from the reverse harem's perspective and such like that, it does have its place. If you're playing it, and you are putting yourself in the position of the main character and such, like in Love and Deep Space, the intended purposes of Uta No Prince Sama and Diabolik Lovers and all that stuff and Brothers Conflict and everything,
Right,
it has its intended purpose to have you enjoy the characters and who they are and such. But if you're solely going off of the anime and trying to follow a plot line and such like that, you're not going to enjoy it. So I think personally, reverse harem should be left to the games because it allows the characters and the players to enjoy it more fully at their own pace. Versus in the anime, you do have to make some cuts because of time restraints and stuff like that and plot reasons.
right.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think that pretty much sums up what we don't like about harems and stuff like that. We've been talking for almost 2 hours. This is a long episode.
What a great way to get back into it, but unfortunately, most of it will have to be cut. I'm sorry, but all your lines are gone. Only mine will stay.
No, not.
um,
Anyway,
but yeah.
thank you all for coming, and thank you again for supporting the new channel here on Otaku Nightly Hour. Is there anything you wanted to say before we go, Raptor?
Please visit us soon.
And of course, we'll see you on the next episode of Otaku Nightly Hour. Bye.
See you.